The afternoon sun cast long shadows across Maple Street as Harold Wilson made his way home from Peterson's Market. At 78, his steps had grown slower over the years, but he still insisted on doing his own shopping. The brown paper bag in his arms held the usual items: a loaf of bread, a carton of milk, some canned soup, and a small container of vanilla ice cream, a weekly treat he allowed himself. Harold paused at the corner, adjusting his grip on the groceries. His arthritis was acting up again, making his fingers stiff and unreliable. He'd been managing fine for the 3 years since Martha passed, learning to cook simple meals and keep house on his own. But some days, like today, everything felt just a little harder than it should. The walk from the market to his small blue house usually took 15 minutes. Harold had made this journey countless times, first with Martha by his side, then later with just his own shadow for company. The neighborhood had changed over the years. Many of his old friends had moved away or passed on, replaced by young families with children who barely looked up from their phones when he walked by. As Harold turned onto Oak Avenue, just 2 blocks from home, he felt the bottom of the grocery bag beginning to give way. The paper had gotten damp from the ice cream container, and he could feel it weakening with each step. He tried to shift his grip, cradling the bag more carefully against his chest, but it was too late. The bag split open completely. Cans rolled across the sidewalk with metallic clanging sounds. The milk carton hit the concrete and burst open, sending white streams across the pavement. The bread tumbled into a puddle left from yesterday's rain, and the ice cream container cracked, its contents beginning to melt in the warm afternoon air. Harold stood there for a moment, staring at the mess scattered around his feet. His shoulders sagged as he watched the milk spreading toward the storm drain. At his age, bending down to collect everything seemed like an impossible task. His back ached just thinking about it, and his knees weren't what they used to be. A teenager across the street had been walking in the opposite direction, earbuds in, hood pulled up, moving with the casual swagger that only youth possesses. Most people would have expected him to keep walking, maybe glance over with mild curiosity before continuing on his way. After all, this was Marcus Thompson, known in the neighborhood more for his loud music and late-night hanging out with friends than for acts of kindness. But Marcus stopped. He pulled out his earbuds and looked at the elderly man standing helplessly among his scattered groceries. Without hesitation, Marcus jogged across the street, dodging a slow-moving car that honked gently in acknowledgement. "Hey there, sir," Marcus said softly, his voice carrying a warmth that surprised Harold. "Let me help you with this." The teenager immediately began collecting the canned goods, checking each one for dents before setting them aside. He picked up the bread, examining it carefully. "This one's still okay," he said, brushing off a few drops of water. "Just got a little damp on the outside." Harold watched in amazement as this young man he'd seen around the neighborhood but never really noticed worked quickly and efficiently to gather his scattered groceries. Marcus used his own shirt to wipe down the cans, making sure they were clean and dry. "The milk's done for, though," Marcus said with a gentle smile. "And looks like your ice cream had a rough landing too." Harold finally found his voice. "You don't need to do this, son. I can manage." "I know you can," Marcus replied, continuing to clean up the mess. "But that doesn't mean you should have to." What happened next surprised Harold even more. Marcus stood up, the salvaged groceries cradled in his arms. "Where do you live, sir? I'll help you get these home." "Just around the corner," Harold said, pointing toward his house. "But really, you've done enough." Marcus shook his head with a smile that reminded Harold of his own grandson, who lived 3 states away and rarely visited. "Come on," the teenager said. "Let's get you home first, then I'll run back to Peterson's and replace what got ruined." "Oh no, you can't do that," Harold protested. "That's too much." "It's not too much," Marcus said simply. "It's just what people should do for each other." As they walked together toward Harold's house, the older man found himself studying this young person he'd misjudged so completely. Marcus moved with careful consideration, making sure Harold could keep up, occasionally adjusting his pace when he noticed the older man struggling slightly. "I'm Harold Wilson," he said as they reached his front gate. "Marcus Thompson," the teenager replied. "I live over on Cedar Street with my grandmother." "Your grandmother raised you well," Harold observed. Marcus smiled, a hint of sadness in his eyes. "She's doing her best. Been taking care of me since I was little." Always tells me to look out for other people, especially the older folks in the neighborhood. Says we're all just trying to make it through each day. They reached Harold's front porch, and Marcus carefully arranged the rescued groceries on the small table by the door. "Now, you wait right here," Marcus said. "I'll be back in 20 minutes with your milk and ice cream." Harold wanted to argue, wanted to insist it wasn't necessary, but something in the young man's determined expression told him it would be useless. Instead, he reached for his wallet. "At least let me give you money for the replacements." Marcus held up his hand. "Keep your money, Mr. Wilson. This one's on me." True to his word, Marcus returned 18 minutes later with a fresh carton of milk and a new container of vanilla ice cream, along with a sturdy canvas shopping bag. "For next time," he explained, handing Harold the bag. "These don't break when they get wet." As Harold thanked him, Marcus was already heading down the porch steps. "Marcus," Harold called after him. The teenager turned back. "Would you like to come by for ice cream sometime? Maybe tomorrow afternoon?" Marcus's face lit up with genuine pleasure. "I'd like that, Mr. Wilson. I'd like that a lot." Watching the young man walk away, Harold realized he'd learned something important that day. He'd been so focused on what he'd lost, Martha, his strength, his independence, that he'd stopped noticing what was still there. Kindness existed in unexpected places, carried by people he'd never taken the time to really see. The next afternoon, Harold scooped vanilla ice cream into 2 bowls and waited for his new friend to arrive. For the first time in months, his small house didn't feel quite so empty. Sometimes the most beautiful surprises come from the most unexpected sources, wrapped in hooded sweatshirts and delivered with the quiet grace of youth who understand that everyone, no matter their age, deserves to be seen and helped when they stumble.